So we all know a few of the associate nations. In fact, we've just seen 8 of them playing the T20 International World Cup, and we could probably think of a few more. Well, there are a few more. Quite a few more, actually. Hello and welcome back to another video. I'm going to try and give a very basic introduction to associate member cricket. When I say member, I mean a member of the ICC, the International Cricket Committee. You can fact check me if you like. I got most of this information from the ICC website itself. I also found a useful article on the Wisden website too. Now, what do we think of when we think of associate nations? We think of the, dare I say, minnows, the non-test playing nations, the nations that kind of turn up in tournaments from time to time, and you pretty much get the same few, and it varies from time to time. We saw a few in the T20 World Cup, and we know cricket goes on, and we know players play for the associate nations and often then qualify for the full member nations. But I genuinely didn't really understand what associate member was. So there is an official description, but basically being associate member is this. So basically it's countries where cricket is firmly established and organised, but have not been granted full membership yet. Now, all associates, as soon as they are recognised within the above description by the ICC, all associates get to play T20 internationals, all of them. Now, one-day international status is different. So, again, a one-day international has more ramifications, I understand, I believe, and so only the top 8 associates for a given period have one-day international status. No associates have test status. So I suppose we could debate, what does firmly establish and recognise means. Obviously, there are some countries that, if you're not already aware, I'll make you aware of, where it's probably more established and more associated with cricket. But there is some chatter around a third sort of ghost status called affiliate status. But if you check the ICC website, they will confirm they only have 2 statuses, the associate member and full member. Now, the full member status is, I'll just bring them up on screen now. So what you see in front of you now, the teams that we're probably more familiar with when it comes to TV time, World Cups, celebrity players, IPL association, that sort of thing. So Afghanistan, Australia, Bangladesh, England, India, Ireland, West Indies, New Zealand, Pakistan, South Africa, Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe are your 12 full ICC members. 2017 was the last time any associate got full ICC member status, and that was Afghanistan and Ireland. Right, guys, so be honest, take a moment. How many associate members do you think there are? Now, just think on that for a few seconds. I'll give you my rationale as to what I thought was the right number, or roughly the right number. So I know that 8 associate nations took place in the T20 World Cup. Other than that, I could probably count on 2 hands other associate countries, because I know they've played associate cricket before and I've seen them, I know about them. But I couldn't possibly expect to know everyone, maybe not right now. So there are probably another handful that I just don't know about. So I'd got kind of roughly between 20 and 30 associates in mind. If you got your number, okay, it's not 20 to 30, it's 96. There are 96 associate members of the ICC. Now, this was all new territory for me, so this was genuinely interesting and a little bit exciting to actually look a little bit deeper into this. I'll be honest, the whole sort of sphere, or this all, this subject of associate members is way too big just for even one or two videos. I think it's much more than that. I'd be interested in sort of if you leave in the comments which of the following countries or what subject about associate nations would you want to see some content on, and I'll try my best to do that. So this is how the ICC see the world. So on screen now you'll see that the ICC recognises 5 global regions. It's Africa, Asia, Europe, the Americas and East Asia Pacific. Rob, what are the numbers next to it? Well, that's the 96 divided up by regions. You've got 20 in Africa, 19 in Asia, 32 in Europe, and so on and so on. So these are the 16 countries that have associate member status in the Americas. So I'm not going to read all 96 of these off. Take a look for yourself, pause the video if you want to study it. But anybody seeing this now, are there any names on there that genuinely you had no idea that they actually even played cricket? Never mind, there's my Yorkshire accent. Never mind on the sort of professional or semi-professional status. Looking at this, I think we saw Bermuda in one of the World Cups. We've definitely seen Canada recently. Let's have a look, Mexico, Panama, and the USA. Clearly the USA are on there as well. Moving on to Africa. Quickly having a look down there. Kenya, we've seen Kenya before, certainly. Namibia, always been up there, ranked in the top 8, and they've got one-day international status for sure. Uganda we saw in the recent T20 World Cup too. Everybody else, I was pretty much in the dark. Now moving on to Asia, 19 associate teams. Also, we've got some full, I think it's 5 full member status teams in Asia. We've seen them already: India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. You're looking at this, names I was already familiar with. Hong Kong, we've seen them in tournaments before. I think Tim David, who was now qualified for Australia, didn't he play for Hong Kong? Or I might have got that slightly different, slightly wrong. Nepal, we saw Nepal in the recent T20 World Cup. We've seen Oman before, UAE, and that's about it. So again, a lot of teams in there. Again, any surprises on there, or are you saying, Rob, clearly Mongolia were a team, we obviously knew about that, or the Maldives? By the way, Maldives, if ever England tour the Maldives, no matter what it costs, I am there. Even if I have to fall in sick from work, I'm going to the Maldives for, even if it's just a 1 T20 game. Sign me up. East Asia Pacific, Japan. I knew about Japan. I don't know how. I've never seen them, but I'm sure I've read about them playing before. Papua New Guinea, we've just seen them in the World Cup. Yeah, and that's about that. So that only leaves us with Europe as the sort of 5th region, and it's by far the biggest with the most representation, 32 teams. In fact, I need 2 slides on this. So first slide, a lot of common names there. Didn't really associate cricket with many of them, to be honest. Let's see. France. Yeah, actually in France, I think, well, surely it's French cricket. It's not French cricket. It's the cricket that we know and love. I can assure you of that. Sort of Guernsey, Isle of Man, Jersey, you kind of expect that because of the whole, is it expat status or whatever that is, but a lot of Brits there, obviously. Same for Malta. Netherlands, we've seen those. We know that Netherlands play international cricket. And Italy, for some reason, recently, I knew Italy play associate cricket because there's either an Aussie or a Kiwi that have just actually decided to actually take part in the Italian side and abandon the Australian or the Kiwi cricket, which I thought was interesting. I can't remember the guy's name. If you do remember the guy's name, let me know. And just to round up the Europe members, Norway, it's got to be plenty. Imagine if in England we get games rained off. What's it going to be like in Norway? You're going to get games snowed off. Actually, I wonder which is the country that gets most games called off for weather. So look, Scotland, I put number 1 by Scotland because I just wanted to let you know that Scotland are the number 1 ranked associate nation right now, across all the formats that they play. So there's a lot of teams there, isn't there, and a lot to talk about. And I say the topic of associate cricket is now my eyes are opening to how vast this is, and I'd love to do more videos on this, but I can only do so much here. So I'm going to just quickly. Not quickly, but I'm going to start to draw this one to a close now. Thanks for sticking with me, by the way, if you have done. So look out for more associate videos to come. I'm going to try and pick out the countries of let me just say, maybe more significance. Perhaps they're in they're getting more media. They're the ones that we see in tournaments, or maybe we just go for the so-called minnows and the ones that we've never heard about, and we do a deep dive into some of those. But I'm quite looking forward to doing that, and I hope that you stick with me for that. So I'm just going to quickly flash up on the screen how to become a full member. We've got 96 countries that have, I would hope that they have aspirations at some point in their future, no matter if it's next year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 100 years' time, that they'll want to be a full member. And you can break all of these bullet points down into a lot of detail, but basically you have to apply. You apply when you're confident you can pass all of these tests. Generally, you've got to be considered as the governing body of your cricket, of men. And that's men and women's cricket. Both sexes' cricket has to be governed under one organisation. Governance, you have to be set up properly with voting rights, and you have to have policies. And then you can see the rest of the criteria all about performance and having the infrastructure and forward-thinking approach to developing the game and people within your cricketing nation. I'm just going to bring this last slide. I promise you this is the final slide. It's been slide overload, I know that, and I appreciate that. But one of the criteria for becoming a full ICC member is that you're able to generate 10% of all income yourself. Now, look at this slide. So this is ICC fund our national teams for a period of time, and they put an amount of money in place for that period of time, and they divide it up like this. Now, I'm not saying that all teams get equal shares, because, you've got currencies and cost of living and all that sort of stuff. But for the 24 to 27 period, the 12 full members that we saw, you can see that's over $500 million. It's almost 89% of the entire ICC funding pot for that period. Whereas the 96 teams that we went through on screen there get the remainder, so just over 11%, $67.16 million. Vast in comparison. Now, I almost daren't start to ask, what is it? Why is it divided? So I'm sure there's some rationale behind it. Anybody got any thoughts, feelings about these numbers here? And 12 get $500 million, 96 get 67 million. What does that tell you? What questions does it raise? Let me know. So there we go, guys. Apologies it was a little bit longer than normal, but I really found this interesting. I hope you did. Feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are regarding some of the countries, maybe the way the money's shared, maybe some of the criteria that associates have to be able to meet to get full test status, can we call it? But yeah, I really enjoyed that. If you enjoyed it, please leave me one of the thumbs up. And what the hell is that? I have no idea what that was. I was just doing or is it the thumbs up? Well, that's really thrown me. Maybe we do a bloopers reel. I don't know. Maybe I keep it in. I'm going to keep it in. As always, if you love cricket as much as I do, then please hit that subscribe button for 6. As always, try your best to stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.